life. And this is again is a stigma and a racial profiling system which is ingrained in the popular community. We need to get rid of these biases and prejudices that one life is more valuable than the other. And this is why I am so intrigued and pleased to know that at least the Human Rights Commission found it necessary to make a profound statement in saying a black man's life is still as valuable than a Caucasian life or Oriental life or any other human life, and it was should not be, and the black man's life should not be taken for granted. And this message should also go on to the black community itself. We value others so much than ourselves that when we are racially profiled, we tend to turn the other cheek and say, yes, we are deserving of the brutalized and the in disrespecting treatment that we get from those that are in authority. The commissioner's report continues or goes on to say that the report would not have been possible without the contribution of so many participants in the process. We recognize that it can be difficult to share experience and, in particular, their impact on individuals and families. Participants willingly to come forward in some cases many years after the incident of profiling or having moved away from Ontario demonstrate the impact that this issue is having in our community. So some individuals choose to move away from the community due to the fact they do not want reprisal from, or if they complain on these individual who has made them their life miserable. And if we come out and demonstrate and write letters to those that are in the legislative building down there in Queen's Park, they should also realize that they do also need to allow their position whereby the taxpayers has placed them in to address such issues as racial profiling. It should not only be addressed in the Human Rights Commission, but it should be addressed in Queen's Park, in Ottawa Hill or Parliament Hill, whatever it's called, and not only those governments, but also in city halls and also in the schools. And then we can eradicate such sometimes terrorizing experiences up on the black person or the black community. It was just yesterday I was viewing the Toronto Police's news releases on their website, and it came to my attention that three individuals who were in the church community or co-pastors was charged for fraud. And this is upsetting to me because these individuals are not only church figures, but they are investors, they are business individuals. So when it comes to them investing individuals' funds and it does not go according to, I don't believe it should be associated with the church. You see, we at times want to deploralize and devalue those who are in leadership in the church and say when everything or something goes wrong in their other life, we then say a pastor has been criminalized for fraud, as in this particular released by the Toronto Police. It reads that the Toronto Police Service would like to make the public aware of the arrest of a man and two women in connection with fraud investigation. I believe this is where the focus of the investigation should lie. A man and two women. But where they have gone wrong, to go on and state that this man, who is a co-pastor of a particular church, had individual in the community and also from their church to invest in his business. Note here, it is not the church business that they invested in, but somehow they kind of draw the church into the equation. It says the victims were told that one of the accused was a successful trader in foreign currencies. So this individual has an independent business whereby they say invest in different stocks in different countries and also here at home. And you know, stocks goes up and the value also they appreciated. So I don't see where fraud myself, even though this is still before the courts, and I don't have any insight of the individual's um, financial documents or whatnot, or however it goes on. I know this individual who is also an activist against injustice in the community. So who knows? In my opinion, maybe he was the one who was behind the 2012 situation whereby the police had to pay the $40,000 to the one that they victimized. You see, when you bring things to the light, sometimes individuals have difficulties in accepting that they are doing wrong, and then will want to the value or bring down, in quote unquote, some would say, a pastor. So we know that there are some out there are witch hunting or pastor hunting and want to make it seem as if the church is a place of the past. But we as black individuals should embrace the church. And when Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ, and yes, if an individual who is in a pastoral or authoritative position in the church and is not acting accordingly, he or she should answer for their misbehavior. But when you have somebody who is an investor in other equities or other stocks in the community and trying to uplift the black members of his communities by trying to get them to invest in different areas of the in the financial business world, and is being successful. It says that there was $8 million that was invested through this individual, which goes to say that he was doing something positive. And I don't think anyone would go and invest so much money into an individual if he was not or she was not doing the right thing. However, as I said, the stock goes up and it goes down. But there are some of us, we fail to accept when the negative hits us, especially in the financial world. And then we will want to blame such an individual. I know this individual who also has a book whereby he encouraged the black community to invest in each other. So it tells me that something or someone is out to demonize this person. But It's in the courts, and not always justice is not always proven in court, but justice can be proven in a town hall or a community setting. And I believe now the community needs to bring this one into questioning and allow him or his colleagues to answer why or what went wrong, why they are now in the judicial system, more so than having this thing being mediated by the community leader. And this is why the community needs to designate a body which govern itself, so that we do not need to unnecessarily be prosecuted, because there are lawyers and judges out there are ready to quick and ready to imprison individuals who are trying to uplift the community, both financially, spiritually, and resourcing, employment wise. So we need to take a careful look at who we are and why these things happen. Remember back in the 40s, I believe it is, or when Marcus Garvey was on his was journeying rather, to empower and to inform the communities, the black community, that they need to mobilize and put their resources in their own communities and to emancipate themselves from mental slavery. Yes, it has been put forth by Abraham Lincoln in the United States to end slavery, but slavery still exists amongst ourselves because we have become slaves to certain ideology, as Willie Lynch theory, when it comes to shadism and things like that, for us to discriminate against each other. But we are one. To refer back to the scripture, it says there, now we should not see ourselves as Jews, Greeks, Gentiles, males, females, or whatnot, but we are one with one purpose and in one destiny, trying to get ahead of what has been done to us in the past. So we need to become strategically and purposely strong in our mind, in our economics, in our academics, so that we will be able to rise above the injustice that are there before us. If we look in the Canadian Parliament, the federal government, there is not one Afro-Canadian, Afro-Caribbean, or Afro-American in Parliament. And this is a disgrace, I think, in the community. Some of us are boasting that we have been in the country of Canada since 1950, 1940, 1960, but yet we are not encouraging our generation, our children, to get in politics. We rather to be at the an assistant or a secretary to such individual who are serving in the community. But we need to be the head and not the tail. We need to be the one that who are drafting policies and making laws. In the courtroom, yeah, they appoint certain individual, but I think that's just a token to keep us appeased, to say that we are achieving. But we are not achieving until we have even a black person in the superior court that will reverse decision that has been inflicted on the community. So I encourage each and every one of us to take up arms, not necessarily weapons, but the arms that we need to take up is education, is the book, is the pen. And those are the weapons of the 22nd century that will make an impact in all societies, whether it's here, Toronto, in the United Kingdom, in Australia, in the Caribbean, in the United States. You see, there are so many that are criticizing President Obama for taking and making certain stands and putting certain laws into effect. But we don't see what he's also contributing to the black community. We noted that earlier on this year that he erected a statue of no other but than that lady there, Rosa Parks.